Hi everyone, good evening. It's William with the 1921 Grand Duke Dmitri Diary series, and I think we'll be covering lots of ground today. I'm going to try and do 3 diary entries, the 13th, 14th, and 15th of April, and that will finish things up for these short diary entries, and we'll jump forward 2 weeks to April 30th and get one of the long diary entries that are always very interesting. Okay, our recap for the 12th of April. Well, it was a fun day in Lyon. They started out by going up on a funicular to see a cathedral that was quite high up, and from up there they had a beautiful view of Lyon down below and the rivers, and I expressed doubt that it could have been the Cathedral Saint-Jean-Baptiste Cathedral in Lyon, and indeed it turns out that it was not. And I thank you so much, Laura, one of the subscribers, for writing that it was most likely the Basilica Notre Dame de Fourvière, I hope I said that correctly, which was high up above the town, and you could take a funicular up to it, so I'm sure that is correct. So next they went to a medieval town called Perouge, and were delighted to find that a movie was being made there, so there were people in medieval costume, and it was a lot of fun. Dmitri really seemed to enjoy that. And then they rounded the day off by going to the circus, which was a little bit of a disappointment, but so it goes. So in our cast today, we have no one, once again, except Dmitri and Coco. And by design, they are keeping very much to themselves, as you know. All right, so let's start with the 13th of April, which was a Wednesday, and Dmitri gives his address as Vichy Hotel de Parc. So we're on the road again. Here we go. I still have no idea why Coco and I decided to go to Vichy. Probably just because it was very close by, around 175 kilometers. We left Lyon around 10:30. The weather was very good and quite warm. We took National Highway 7. It's an old friend because it's the road that goes from Marseille to Paris. But that day it was incomparably better, and sometimes the countryside was amazingly beautiful. We lunched in Rouen and then abandoned Highway 7 and went cross-country directly to Vichy via Saint-Nicolas-des-Biefs. And then, this is me, of course, and then there's another town name that I can't make out. It looks like Poitiers or Pontier. Yeah, but I couldn't find either of those when I looked for them. Okay, back to Dmitri. The road goes through mountains. We stopped several times because the views at every turn were spectacular, both in their diversity and their natural beauty. We arrived in Vichy around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. After having tea, we went for a walk around the city. I can't say that I particularly liked Vichy. It was quite empty, and it's in a flat part of the country. Well, it was low season and everything was closed. We had dinner in our rooms and went to bed very early. So for any of you who might be fond of Vichy, he does qualify what he's saying, of course, by noting that, yeah, things would probably be different during the season. Okay, so Route Nationale 7. Okay, the National Route 7. That's the best I can do with pronunciation. Sometimes I called Route des Vacances because people take it when they're going south on their holidays, or Route de la Mort, not because there are a lot of accidents, so the route of death, but not because there are lots of accidents, but because of the holiday traffic that I guess you can get stuck for hours and hours. Okay, so that's really about it. Another day of driving, and then their usual thing where they stop to look at the views, and then when they get to Vichy, they have tea, they go for a walk, and yeah, that's about it. All right, so onward to the 14th of April, Thursday, also at the Hotel de Parc in Vichy. At 11:30, Coco and I drove 36 kilometers to the little town of Thiers. The local specialty is the production of blades and steel for scissors, razors, and various carpentry tools. I lunched with Coco at a disgusting little place called the Hotel de l'Aigle d'Or. Naturally, the food was awful. Afterwards, we made a little excursion around the area and got home around 4:30. We had tea at home and then took a walk. The weather was cold and far from appealing. We ate in our rooms and went to bed early. Okay, so we've got our elderly couple back again. Just, taking walks and making little short side trips and going to bed early. So Thiers, Thiers. Dmitri doesn't say if he bought anything. I guess he probably didn't need scissors or razors or carpentry tools. So if you saw the videos for the 1906, 1907 diaries, you know that he enjoyed, when he was a boy, he enjoyed woodworking and anything that you do with your hands. So he might have had some interest in the carpentry tools, but he doesn't tell us. Okay, so what about this hotel? I actually feel rather bad about this. I'm always saying bad things about French hotels, the ones that Dmitri doesn't like, and a lot of times they still exist, as does this hotel, and I wouldn't want anybody to be put off or to avoid them because of what Dmitri said about them over 100 years ago. So this hotel in English is called the Golden Eagle Hotel. And yeah, maybe he was just a little out of sorts, but he didn't like it. Or maybe it really was bad, 104 years ago. I don't know. Anyway, if you happen to be in Thiers, don't avoid it just because of what you heard in this diary entry. Okay, I guess we have time to go to one more, the 15th April, the Friday, again in Vichy. I got up late. I wrote several letters in the morning, and then we took a walk around the area. It was quite a big excursion, but the weather was overcast and cold. It was clear that there would be a sharp change in the weather. We lunched at home and then took a drive. We'd gone around 20 kilometers when we had to turn back because first it started raining and then snowing. There was a very strong wind and it was freezing cold. But of course the snow didn't stick to the ground. We returned home for tea, then took a walk, and once again were caught in the snow. But this time it was so thick that everything became white, like in winter. We dined at home, and after a short conversation, went to bed early. Okay, so kind of funny, Dmitri being a Russian, that he doesn't like being out in the snow, at least not these days. If you remember the 1906, 1907 diary entries, you know that he did a lot outside in the snow, that he did a lot of sledding and skiing on flat ground, Nordic-style skiing, that is, and making snow forts, but that's not unusual, isn't it? That what we love to do when we're kids, frolicking in the snow, we don't really have any interest in when we're adults. Again, they're not even sitting around and talking after dinner. They have just a short conversation, and then they apparently each go to their own rooms and go to bed early. And I wonder if he means that they really get in bed and sleep early, or if they just part ways and each goes to his own room and reads or does whatever. because there was the one occasion when Dmitri was out on the town and he came back at 1:30 in the morning, and Coco was actually up and thought it was funny. Okay, so that is the end of the trip. Well, not quite, because when we resume, when we do the diary entry for 16th April, of course, they will still be in Vichy and will be getting back on the road. So, but for the next time, the first section that we'll do of the 30th of April, well, this is the one that answers the question, did the trip work? So the whole point of the trip was for Dmitri to snap out of and recuperate from this deep depression that he'd been in this nervous state. And so we'll find out his assessment of whether or not it worked, and we'll also find out what the fallout is, if any, from this trip. And you remember what huge repercussions there were when he returned from Berlin, and we'll find out this time if there are any or not, and where he and Coco are now that they're back in Paris. And we'll return to also an interesting cast of characters, since they will no longer be avoiding people. All right, so I hope to see you then. Bye.